Hey, what you reading? I'm the AC, and it has been some nice and rainy days here. And what better time to read? And what a better time than to talk about what I've been reading. So, speaking of rain, the book I just recently read is Fire Princess and the Outcasts by Luis Aleman. Still suck at names. And yes, rain and fire have nothing to do with each other. Let's move past that dumb point. So, this book was published on a website called Vix Lab, something I used to really be into. It's kind of died down popularity that it had a lot. It's kind of dead now. Not dead, just quiet. But, back, I don't know, what, a year or two? Sometime they had a poll for whichever was the more popular book amongst several of them would be the next book that they published. This was one of them, and actually I read drafts of it, and I enjoyed it then. I enjoyed it even more once it was polished up. And there was a lot of stuff, thinking back on it, I either didn't remember completely, or that did change, and I still like. So, I don't know. But, so, of course, this video, like always, will be very spoily. Yeah, let's stick with that, spoily. Talk about some characters, a little of the story. I'll try to keep it brief, because why talk about a book if you haven't read it yet? Or the main reason I do talk about books is so we can have discussions about them. But let's just start. So, Fire Princess. Her name is Rosella. She's a princess with a bounty. She ran away. She can fight. She has one pretty good fight. It doesn't really do too much after that. Anyway, she has a best friend / old maid, and her name is Anna. Now, weirdly, a lot of the perspectives in this first volume is from her perspective. It's not. It works. It's just interesting that the title character isn't always having the perspective. I like perspectives moving around because it takes away this whole like main character thing. Yeah, she's the title character. Oh well. I like Aneth as a character, so I'm fine with a lot of it being from her perspective. Another one is Gertrude. She is an elf. She was raised by a person named Morven. Rosella and Aneth originally came to collect Morven as a bounty, but instead he pretty much gave them Gertrude so she can accompany them. And Gertrude can use some cool and usually convenient teleport magic, which involves ashes, stuff like that. Now, another character, aside from that they do eventually meet later, his name is Hudson. He is known as Kier to a nice little couple named Loden and Idla that he's been living with because Loden found him in the Rohesia Mountains about 6.5 months ago from where the story takes place now. And he's from another world, and he uses a cell phone. Like, it's been seen. There's another anime I've seen, like in another world from a smartphone, blah blah blah. But the phone isn't really that important in this. It's used, and it's used nicely. The weird thing is somehow the battery has lasted 6.5 months, so we know it's not an Apple phone. But he keeps it like secret, even though it's obviously a phone, until he finally reveals it's a phone. It's a nice little mystery, but it's something. So, he eventually meets up with the other three, and they are wanting to go to the mountain that he was found at because there was something that crashed there, and they want to find out what it was. Turns out it was him, and they go back to prove it. While they're there, they meet this bounty hunter and the leader named Mick. They get captured, kind of. Hudson runs away, Mick goes after him, they have a little thing. It's an interesting, little cat and mouse game that gets played there. And this is actually my favorite part of the book because Mick is kind of very arrogant, but he also is kind of grounded. It's a weird thing. And of course, at the end of their little conflict, they give Mick a redeeming quality, but he gets some backstory about his dad pretty much just being a dick. And eventually things play out, Mick falls, but you never see him die, so he could come back later. I don't know, you start to like him a little bit then. Anyways, Hudson goes back, Gertrude pops back up, using her teleport magic. They save the other two, cause an avalanche, they go on with their lives. Now there's another who I assume is going to be most likely the overall series antagonist. Her name is Gretel. She's a witch that can control wind. You can see her in a chapter go and meet this spirit named Fate, who I guess is the source of Gretel's power, or she's able to make her more powerful. It's not too clear yet. It was a short chapter, but I expect to see more of that later. So, they went to the mountain. They proved Hudson is who he said he was. Their next stop is to figure out how to go to another temple to meet another spirit for Rosalia, because she's supposed to have fire powers, but they're not working, I guess. So they're going to look for this pilgrimage that's supposed to go out there. But since the princess is on the run and they know her dad, the king, knows she probably wants to go there, he kind of makes the pilgrimage a lot harder to do, less often, and not all the way up to the temple. So that's their next step of the plan. They end up going to the capital, where they really didn't want to go to, but they have no other choice. And there's some character development, getting to know a little bit more about, especially like Anna. Like I said, a lot of it's from her perspective, it seems. And then at the very end, they meet another elf, Gertrude Hudson, and his name is Zelfast. Sure. And he helps them get like fake IDs, and he can tell Gertrude's also an elf, and Gertrude remembers her elf name is Eulas. Yeah, names. I like weird names. So elven names, I love. Eulas, Zelfast. Maybe not saying them right, but I still like names like this. Anyways, Zelfast eventually kind of just reveals that he's going to attack the pilgrimage. And then that gives a little conflict to Gertrude about what she should do. That's kind of where it ends. So, we gotta wait for all this stuff in the second volume. I don't know when or if there's going to be a second volume. I hope there is, because I did enjoy this. But it's like, it seems like a lot of the actiony stuff happened in the first half of the book, and then the rest was more just development leading up to what will start happening in the second volume. So, I really hope there's a second volume so I can see this stuff come to fruition. It seems like some cool stuff's about to go down. But there was one other thing in this volume and that I love, and it's just a little thing. It's the bit wraps. And it's solely because of the name. Because it's so simple, but it can sound so weird. It's just rabbits. Bit wrap, rabbits. I don't know. I like weird names, especially when they're simple. No, it's just me. It's just a weird thing. But yeah, the first volume, really like it. Like I said, a lot of character development and story development, and just building on this world. They had some good action scenes, so you know what the characters can do fighting wise, and you can see some potential antagonists for the future. But yeah, it's just going to come down to really hoping that second volume comes out one way or another. Either Vic Labs publishes the second volume. I don't know if Luis is working on a second volume, has already finished second volume, could potentially self-publish. I don't know. But it would be nice to see a second volume. I don't like stories just ending, especially when they are kind of like a cliffhanger. It's like, this is about to happen, then it just, now we never get to see it. I don't know. But I also hope Vic Labs gets up and booming again. I'm more busy with my life than I was a couple years ago when I was on it all the time. So it's hard for me to get back on it, but it was a cool place to go. But yeah, if you like what I said in this video, go ahead and like my video. And if you want to see me talk more about other books, all kinds of other stuff, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, because I definitely talk a whole lot. You can watch me talk about a whole lot. You can conversate with me about the things I talk about a lot. But until then, I'm the AC. Thank you for watching, and bye.